Hey, ladies, you've heard me share about my mentor and how passionate I am that people need mentors and teachers in their life. There are some golden nuggets, I call them, from my mentor, and I am excited to share them with you right here, right now. Let's dive in.
Welcome to the Health, Life, and More for Women podcast with certified life coach, mom of four, and just all-around lover of all things 80s, your host, Jennifer D'Amato. Buckle in. Let's get started.
Now, a lot of these golden nuggets, this wisdom from my mentor, does apply to parenting. However, you might find that if you're not a parent and you're listening in, that there's some things you can take away from this as well. One of the things actually that she taught me was to file things away. That's what I call it. Like I always picture, I would sit down with her, she'd just share all the goodness. And it was like I would open my brain up, take what she, shared with me and put it back there somewhere so I could access it later. Usually it's because she would share things that weren't necessarily about what I was going through right at the time. She would share what was going on with her kids, who were all a couple of seasons ahead of mine. And I thought, someday I'll be there. Someday I'll be living in that space, and I want to remember this. Some of those things I had to write down. I mean, I had a much younger brain back then, and, a lot of it stuck, but some of the things I did write down because I didn't want to forget. But I do think that's one of the pieces of wisdom was you don't have to be in that same space. File it away. You can access it later. You can draw from that knowledge, that wisdom later when you get there, if you get there. Or maybe it'll help somebody else. You might not directly go through it, but something that spoke to you might speak to somebody else. I wasn't even thinking, as one of the main parts of wisdom from my mentor, but when I was articulating where I wanted to go with this episode, I wrote down file things away. That really is something that is key. File things away. So one of the first pieces of wisdom about parenting that she shared with me was really to be present for each season. Now, she never sat down and said, Jennifer, you really need to be present for each season of your kids growing up. Nope. What happened was there were many times I called her losing my crap. We had kids really close together. Every couple of years, there was a new beautiful baby girl coming into our home. So it was pretty easy to lose my crap with lots of baby toddler toys and everything everywhere all the time. And I'm really generally pretty hard on myself, more so than ever than I am now. But I do have, these expectations. You've heard me share them in Enneagram type 3. That's not something new. It's something new that I'm aware of, but I've always been that way. And I don't like to fail. I struggled for a long time with failure, and it felt like a failure if things didn't go my way, the way I expected them to during the day. And as I've also shared with little kids, that's going to happen every day, all the time. It's almost like a miracle and celebration and, I don't know, throw a party if the day goes exactly as you planned without any hiccups. It was in those phone calls, me losing my crap, her being the calm one on the other side, where she reminded me to just stop. Just stop and be present. Just stop and be there. They don't need anything else from you, Mama. They just need you. Whew. I needed that. I needed that time and time again because it wasn't always that they were toddlers making a freaking mess of my house on the regular. It was the moody preteen age. It's hard to be present for that age. If you have preteens or you've been through that season, it is very hard to be present when they, in fact, don't really seem like they want you to be present. But that lesson stuck with me. If I can be present through the mess of toddler season. I can be present through the mess of moody tweens and moody teenagers. They're kind of the same. But being present for each of these means I haven't missed out on it. I can look back at the good and the bad. I was there. I was present. I know now the reason she imparted this wisdom of being present is really for this other nugget that she gave me was the roles are going to shift. Things are going to change. They're not going to stay the same. When they're little, I had a hard time believing that. I really can remember this filing things away piece coming in strong during this. Like, no, I'm pretty sure we're going to be in this type of season forever. I'm going to feel like I'm pulling my hair out. I'm going to feel exhausted all the time. I'm going to feel like they are sucking the life out of me, literally and figuratively. I'm never getting out of this. And something she shared with me was specifically about bedtime. Because if you've had young children, most bedtimes are horrible. It's worse than the herding cats to get them into the car. It's like the needy, whiny, crazy child emerges. I need water. I need a hug. Just give me one more hug. Hold on. I have a question. Tell me a story. I need this. I need that. Like it's never ending at bedtime. And she told me someday you'll go to bed before them. Yeah, I filed that one away. I think my oldest was 8 years old when she told me this. That wasn't anywhere in my line of sight. Well, guess where I live now? I go to bed before the teenagers almost every single night. No, not even almost. Let's just be honest here. Every single night. I think they're asleep, and then I don't think they are. They stay up reading or talking, and there I am, snoozing away. Things don't stay the same. And what's coming is jobs and being out of the house. Not even living in our house is coming. Roles shift, seasons change. So I go right back to that first golden nugget of wisdom of being present for each season because each season is fleeting. It's so fast. And roles will shift. Things will change. Bedtime, I promise you, will not look the same as it does when they're toddlers. Thank goodness. Another great piece of wisdom she shared with me was your kids will turn into teenagers and they'll seem like they've gone away. Ooh, that one broke my heart because again, when I heard this piece of wisdom, I thought there's no way. These kids are the most clingy humans that have ever existed on this planet ever anywhere. All they do is take and take and take and take. She said, it's going to happen whether you want it to or not. They'll go away. They'll go in their room and you won't see them. But I promise you, they come back. This little piece of wisdom from my mentor probably saved me many nights of tears, many days of feeling frustrated and hurt. And I know that because I've talked to so many other moms in this particular season that did not get that piece of wisdom. And they just thought, what's going on with my teenager? Why are they seem to be isolating themselves? Why are they just in their room? They never seem to come out except for to eat. What's going on? It's normal. I always said the reason I think it happens is because during those very moody tween years, all they do is get in trouble. Whether it's because they've talked back, they haven't done what they're supposed to, they're snippy and snappy and causing arguments and all the things that happen in the tween years. You think toddler years are tough. Tween years are really tough. I think it's because they're sick and tired of getting in trouble. They're like, I'm just going to stay in my room. Okay, I know that's funny and all. And there's probably some truth to it. But the reality is autonomy is at a heightened awareness. They want to be independent. They want to think for themselves and decide what they believe. They're working through so many thoughts all the time. They can't do that with everyone else around them. It's too much. They need to kind of retreat and process. We look at this as an adult and we do this. I've talked about very recently on an episode that alone time and being intentional about that so you can think and evaluate and process and all that comes from alone time. Yet when our kids are doing it, we think something's wrong and we're so worried. They're really doing exactly what we need to be doing for ourselves, which is having some alone time, processing our thoughts. Now, I'll tell you, I know this happens. We're really in this season, kind of in the thick of it. We're actually in several seasons right now with tweens, beginning teens, and kind of toward the end of that. And I'll tell you why I know in just a second that we're toward the end of it. But I do still check in. Pop that door open. Hey, how are you doing? Do you need anything? You having a good day? And still do that check-in, but respect that they need to step back. So like I said, I know we're towards the end of this isolation teen season because the other piece of that my mentor told me was they'll go away, but they come back. And what I'm noticing, especially with our oldest, is she's coming out more often. She's emerging, I say. Yes, it's something I have to laugh at because it's hard. It's hard when they go from clinging to you constantly to not speaking to you possibly for the majority of the day. Not because they're mad, not because anything happened, but because they're doing that processing, learning independence thing. They come back though. They come out of the room. And I believe that happens different for everyone. Every teenager is going to be a little bit different in that processing, in that time, in that space. But I want you to be encouraged to know they come back. One of the other greatest pieces of wisdom I gleaned from my mentor was to really listen to them at every age. I think this one was the hardest one for me. And it's not because I don't love my kids and think they're amazing humans, but sometimes they talk about things that I literally do not care one little bit about. Not one. I love them, just don't care about the topic. But it speaks volumes when I stop what I'm doing, make eye contact, and I listen. It spoke volumes to them when they were 4 years old. And I know it speaks volumes when I'm listening to the 12-year-old and the 16-year-old. Yeah, on the day this releases, I officially have a 16-year-old. And when that 16-year-old was 4 and wanted to talk to me, it was probably about Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, if I'm going to be honest. That was her favorite thing. She loved it. Could have been about Barbies, maybe a little My Little Pony. All topics I didn't really care about. But it speaks volumes when we really listen, when we hear what our kids have to say. Don't you think that's true for everyone, though? People want to be heard. What happens when we really focus and listen to what people are saying? What happens when we stop and give eye contact and attention to what our kids are saying at every single age? I always feel like I'm back in kindergarten, and I had an amazing kindergarten teacher who put a gold star in the middle of my forehead when I did something, that was exceptional. I'm covered in gold stars on my forehead for listening at every age. If you know, then you know. I don't know if you have a mentor in your life that's imparted wisdom on you. I certainly hope you do. And if you don't, it's never too late to find one. But I do hope that my mentor's wisdom has given you something to think about, has helped you reflect or evaluate where you are when it comes to being present, in acknowledging that whatever season you're in, it's not going to last. And that maybe even if you're raising teenagers, you just needed to know they come back. I promise, they do come back. Maybe the best piece was just acknowledging how important it is to be heard, to listen to those around us, whether it is our children or anyone else who's just looking to be heard. Remember that listening doesn't mean agreement. That listening doesn't mean I fully 100% even understand what you're saying. But I'm here with 2 ears, just listening. I hope that my mentor has given you something to think about, something to be encouraged by, and something maybe to share with others. Until next week, ladies. Hey, ladies, if you've ever struggled with thoughts about your body, thoughts about, am I eating enough, the right foods? I don't even know what healthy is anymore. I want to invite you into a private consultation with me. Yes, I'm your podcast host, but I'm also a certified health coach, a certified life coach, and I specialize in intuitive eating. I would love to talk more about where you are in your health, what your desires and goals are for it, and find out if working together is the best step for you. All you have to do is go into the show notes, click book a consultation, pick the time and date that works for you, answer a few questions to apply, and the rest is up to me. I'll give you that call. We'll talk. It's all about you and meeting you exactly where you are. I look forward to talking.